the Giants started releasing their top 100. We talked about this with the 100th season here coming. That they're going to be doing a top 100 players ever to wear the Giants uniform. They released the initial top 10 here. So this is 100 through 91. So the first 10 here, which is kind of like, I feel like if you're on this list, are you like proud to be on this list? You're like, I'm barely made it. Like,
but at the same token, there's plenty of people that are not on this list.
You know, you start off with a guy who was a dependable part of the last two championship teams we had there with Eli Manning and Rich Seubert, who is, of course, now a high school football coach in Jersey as well. Just won an award for that this past season. But, you know, it's just a dependable offensive lineman there. And I got to say, I'm just fair warning people. I'm going to have some complaints in this list probably as we go. Just fair warning.
Yeah, same here. Because like, there's
I'm seeing names on the list today that I'm like, top 100. Now, hear me out for a second when I say this. We have 32 players in the Hall of Fame. 32. Okay. We have on top of that, we have players like, we've talked about them ad nauseum, but, you know, the Phil Simms, the Carl Banks, the Jimmy Pattons of the world, you know, the guys like that aren't in the Hall of Fame. You know, go old school, go Frank Cope, which we'll talk about him later. You know, there's a lot of guys that were not in the Hall of Fame that were all-time greats for their generation. So you're going to have like 50 to 60 people that are like all-time greats, basically like that. And the rest of the 40 are going to be guys that are Giants legends, basically, but not NFL legends. I'm not sure if some of the guys in this list make that. And I kind of feel bad. I'm saying right that we talked about Rich here, but he was a really good player, but I'm sorry. I don't think he's top 100. No disrespect to the man. Like he gave it all. I'm not a hater by any means, but top 100 seems a little steep. And then you got Brad Benson, 10 years with the Giants, won Pro Bowl. Again, I feel like part of the problem you run into is these are great Giants, but are the all-time great Giants? Like Brad Benson is known more for selling Hyundais.
You're not wrong.
I mean, again, and I think part of what you're going to see in this list is you're going to see guys who were part of Super Bowl teams, and that kind of lifts them up higher. You know, you're going to see people that are, you know, more recent, and that's going to put them up higher. You know, we talked about it before, like the 1930s, we had like 5 people on the all 1930s team that played offensive line on just the Giants.
Yeah, it's
of their generation. I guarantee you that not all of those guys will make this list.
No, because like you said, I mean, you're talking 90 years ago. It's hard to.
And don't call top 100 of the 100 years. If you're not going to go far back like that. I'm just saying.
But it's easy to overlook it, is what I'm saying. Like they don't have the same reporting stats as they did back then. The gameplay is different, so like you go into that. Like when you talk about the best of baseball, it's the same thing. Like people talking like comparing Babe to McGuire and comparing different legends. It's a different game.
McGuire took steroids. Babe Ruth took hot dogs and beer
and vodka.
Which took a lot of things.
Liquor.
Probably took legal substances too, just not performing enhancing. But it wouldn't shock me. Anyway, next up after that, we got number 98, Eddie Price, who was a 3-time Pro Bowler and led the NFL in rushing back in 1951. Number 97, Hakeem Nicks, who's 4th, and this whole 4th thing to come in. There's a few things for 4ths coming up here, but the 4th most receiving yards in Giants history. And a guy that, let's be honest, it wasn't for injuries, had the chance to become the best wide receiver to ever play for the Giants.
He had the opportunity,
yeah. Like I said, injuries killed him. And that's what happens, unfortunately, with people. I'm not saying it's uncommon or it's this great Greek tragedy, but he was a guy who was on pace to be that kind of player for the Giants. Next up, 96, Willie Williams, defensive back, Pro Bowler in 1969, 4th most interceptions in Giants history. Then number 95, Saquon Barkley, of course, the 2018 Offensive Rookie of the Year, 2-time Pro Bowler, fourth most rushing yards in Giants history. We had a lot of fours back to back to back. The fourth most receiving yards, the fourth most interceptions, and the fourth most rushing yards. That's a nice little trio there. Number 94, Erik Howard, interior defensive lineman during the LT Super Bowls there, as I call them. I always call them the LT ones. That's how people call them, like the Parcells ones. No, that was LT. It's like you can go back and forth. Like, was it LT? Was it Parcells? You know, was it Phil Jackson? Was it MJ? Like it's that kind of thing. Like legit. But 122 games with the Giants overall and 1 Pro Bowl. And then 93, Terry Kinard, safety from the 80s, 105 games played, 1 Super Bowl win there, and a Pro Bowl. Number 92, Darrell Dess, offensive lineman from the 60s, had 2 Pro Bowl seasons. And number 91, the guy who started off our infatuation with people kicking the ball from Scotland, Lawrence Tynes, known, of course, for kicking the Giants into literally 2 Super Bowls by winning game-winning field goals there to end 2 different NFC championship games there. So that's number 100 through 91. Again, I'm going to seem like a hater when I talk about these guys, I feel like, to a certain degree. But I'm sorry, like 1 Pro Bowl, I'm in. Top 100? 1? I know it's not the end all. I'm not saying it's the only metric you use, but it's kind of like some of these guys are just in because of longevity, I feel like. And that's where it's going to be determined. Like, how do you determine a top 100? Are you going based on longevity? Are you going based on talent? You know, like, are you trying to combine both at that point there? And if that's
I would imagine it'd be both.
How do you level the difference between somebody who had a great short career, like an OBJ, for example, or a guy that just played for the Giants forever, like a Howard Cross? Like, that's difficult to do. It really is. You know, so, but yeah, I mean, overall, again, a couple issues I'll give there, but it's hard to say fully until I hear the full list. All great Giants. It's just a matter of if we think they actually belong as part of that top 100 there. And that's usually the discussion you have with the last guys to make the list. It's like, oh, what about so-and-so? And since we don't have the list, we don't know who so-and-so could be. We'll have to find out who got left off. But I will say this. Maybe when this list is done, you and I, Rob, will do our own top 100.
Ooh. Maybe we should.
Maybe we should. So we'll see. I actually have a mathematical way of doing this.
Ooh.
I was thinking about too. So we'll see. Giving people like a point system like that. Like 1 point for a Pro Bowl, 2 points for a second team All Pro, 3 points for a first team All Pro, 3 points, 5 points for an MVP or something like that. We'll have to figure out a point value system.
Yeah, I was going to say half a point per year.
Yes. I think that would be very good.
Half a point per year and every extra point for every 5th year.
Yeah, as I'm saying, I think something like that. We can figure out a system like that. We'll talk about that off show there and figure that out. Maybe we'll do that way there.
Yeah.
If you like that clip, then you will love the full episodes too. Find us on your favorite podcast app and look for us on all your favorite social media platforms.
Thanks so much.
Please, I'm begging you. Please subscribe.